Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vibrant Life Source YouTube channel. I'm so happy that you are here. And today is another episode of one of my special edition Vibrant Chats. It's a series called Leveling Up Real Talk About Perimenopause with Jill and LeAnn. So this is a series that I started with another coach, and it's all about our experiences with perimenopause. And we also go through an amazing book called Roar by Dr. Stacy Sims. So today is episode 3, and it's called Being a Woman, Your Cycle, Exercise, and More. And in this episode, Jill and I talk about what's going on with your cycle and how does what's going on in your cycle relate to your exercise. So, and there's a lot more that we talk about too, because as you probably have figured out by now, we kind of trail off into the weeds in other conversations. So anyway, hope you enjoyed today's episode. Also, don't forget to go down below, subscribe, and also would love you to comment. Would love you to let me know what you think of this episode. And don't forget, a shameless plug, don't forget to check out my virtual platform, which we're going to go right here, dink, and check it out. Let me know what you think, and I hope to see you soon. All right, without further ado, episode 3. Hey everyone, welcome back to Leveling Up, Real Talk About Perimenopause with LeAnn and Jill.
Hey, hey.
How are you?
I am lovely. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. It's a beautiful day here in Seattle.
It's a beautiful day in New Jersey as well.
Awesome.
I know, it's like
how you been? It's
80.
been a couple weeks. It's been a couple
I know,
weeks.
it's been busy, very busy, you know, certifications and life and clients and everything.
Getting into summertime.
Yeah, I'm waiting. We're supposed to go down the shore this weekend. First time all year. I was like, last week, I was like, you know, at this point last year, we were already down the shore 4 days. We haven't been down once. I was so upset, but that's going to change.
Happy days are near. Happy days are near. So I want to do a quick little touch up as to where we are. So last time we started working through part 1.
Yes.
And we need to finish up. So we really didn't talk much about the cycle, and actually the menstrual cycle in relation to exercise, because there is a science to it.
Right. So we talked about the cycle. We talked a little bit about the hormone stuff, but not how to take advantage.
Right. So we need to do a little wrappy up of that, put a little bow on part 1.
Make it all pretty.
Yeah. And then we're going to dive in. We're going to slide on in to part 2. And part 2, we're going to kind of bounce around. There's like a couple parts in there that I think we're going to kind of just breathe one on by. So we got a lot to chitty chat about today.
We do. We have a lot to cover.
So, shall we?
Get in. Yeah.
Bitter done sister.
Do it.
So,
where do you want to start? Page 18.
The cycle. Because we talked about hormones, but we really didn't talk about the cycle. And if for those of you following along in your book, shall we? So Dr. Sims, she talks about the cycle in relation to there's a high and there's a low.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Right. And for those of you who are on page 18.
Page 18, your cycle at a glance.
And I highly recommend, if you do have the book, read this section. I think we're going to kind of we're not going to dive too far into the science part, but So let's be honest. All right. So when we talk about the cycle, she obviously talks about from the science component and from the physical part, what's going on,
what's happening
in your cycle, right?
Yeah.
And what it means to, when we have PMS, we got the bloating, we got the breast tenderness, we got the weight gain, we got, your heat sensitive,
mood swings,
cramps, why does that happen? Right.
Right.
It's just,
she goes into the science.
Let me tell you,
she's deep. She's deep in the science there.
But the part that at least for me, because again, let's keep in mind, let's put this book into its context, is this book is predominantly for the female athlete.
Right.
And most of them are probably what most people would consider more elite athletes.
Right. Right. That's right. That's basically who she studied.
Right.
In university, right? Elite athletes.
Right. And however, for us,
not
average
elite
Joe athletes, there are times when many times, currently and in the past, I will do a workout. All right, let's say I'll go for a run. One of your favorite things to do.
I was like, you can do that. I will. You go for
a run one day.
And feel great. Awesome.
It's piece of cake.
I never get that way. It never feels great for me.
Okay, you go for a walk.
I go for the elliptical. Or I just whatever.
You're doing an exercise, right? You go do it one day and you feel amazing. You feel strong, you've got great energy. And then let's say a week later, you go and do the exact same thing at the exact same speed, everything, but you feel like you got lead weights attached to your legs. You just are like moving through mud.
Yep.
You're like, what's different? What did I eat? But what we probably aren't considering is, where am I in my cycle?
Absolutely. So I
can tell you, I probably haven't asked that question.
I know I never did until recently, last year. I love the line, and it's on page 19, where she says, as ironic as it may seem, your exercise physiology is most like a man's during your period and the days that follow. Like, so as womanly as you are when you have your period, that's when you're most manly, because your hormones are low, and that's when you can do your personal records, like you can.
So what's happening is
lift heavy,
that ramp up to the actual, to the show, to the actual, well,
to the visit of
to the show, da 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 da. I'll just tap dance across the. That's the show I was talking about. What are you talking about?
Oh, lots of laughs. Always good for a laugh.
We said there would be lots of laughs.
Can we make this part right here is like the
this will be the highlight reel.
The highlight reel. Oh, good Lord. Anyway.
Note to self, perhaps we should not record these at the end of the day.
Except the beginning of my day is like really early for you.
I know, but it's surprisingly I'm more awake.
That's true. And we're not slap happy.
Right, totally. So before we got completely sidetracked,
the show, meaning aka your period.
Yes. So the lead up is where you're going to feel your slump.
Right. That's when you don't want to be doing.
She actually talks about the day. She breaks it up into days.
Yes.
And for the life of me, I cannot find where she says that.
Yeah, it's on page 17 where she's like, day 5 or 6 is like, you know, day 1 through 14 is follicular, 15 through 28 is the luteal, which is like, that's the second half of your cycle when things start to feel hard, when you're not like, okay, that clean and press is not going to happen. Like, it's just really rough. Or the burpees, like you said, your favorite, you know, like they're just, so she talks about that there. She talks a little bit about the days. And then she starts talking about why it's harder to make muscle. You're going to feel bloated. Your metabolism changes, right? You're going to have cravings, all of those things during that second half of your cycle make it so that you're not doing high intensity stuff. You're not feeling strong. You know, you may feel like unstable and, you know, like, you know, mood wise, as well as like physically, right?
Right.
Because what happens spatially, you're not necessarily on point.
Exactly. And I think, and I don't know about you, but I think when I was younger in my 20s and maybe even probably into my early 30s, I feel like I was able to move through my cycle easier.
I didn't even know, like, I didn't even have any clue that it impacted me whatsoever.
Well, yes, I will agree that there would be many a times that I had no clue where I was, because I think then probably you and I could be considered lucky that we had easy cycles.
Well, also just that it didn't, first off, I was on the pill for a really long time. So, you know, 10 years, you know, I mean, it just, I just had it didn't, I had no idea. I didn't even, yes, I tracked my cycle like, oh, I should get my period this week because I'm on placebo pills. Like that, you know, like that's how I tracked my cycle. But I didn't have any idea that my hormones were going to impact my weight loss or my exercise or my, I mean, my exercise routine. It didn't.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I haven't been on the pill in
been a long time. 12 years for me.
Yeah, long time. Yeah, it's been a long time for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I definitely notice highs and lows in my workouts. Right. And I now have to consciously adjust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's rather than just, you know, blindly push through.
Yep. Choose a different workout.
Do yoga instead of a run, you go for a walk.
Yep. Recovery session.
Movement is still important. It's not go be a sloth on the couch. Movement is still important, but adjust the movement to support your body. And then as your actual period happens, then you're feeling back to yourself, and then you're able to literally, that's when you're going to make some gains per se, right?
Big gains. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that, I think that's the biggest takeaway for people. If you're not reading the book, like the first, from the time that you get your period to about 14 days, of course, everyone's cycle is different, but let's just use the generic 28-day cycle. Your first 14 days, that's when you're going to go hard. You're going to go heavy. You're going to do the intense stuff. You're going to, you know, that kind of workout. And then after that is when your hormones start to increase, right? Your estrogen, your progesterone. That's when you start to feel tired. That's when you're starting to go, oh my God, I can't lift this 5-pound weight. It feels like it's 80 pounds.
Right.
That's when you're going to do the yoga, the Pilates, the foam rolling recovery stuff. That's
Right. And
those type of things.
actually, in many ways, that's kind of how we should be working out anyway. There should be balance.
Absolutely.
We may look at it within a week, saying, oh, within a week, I'm going to have balance within that. But for
Right.
women, we can look at that at our exercise and our fitness. A way to do it is within a 28-day block. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to have balance within this. There's going to be moments where I'm going to push, and whatever your activity is, maybe
Yeah.
you lift weights, maybe not. Maybe you do mainly cardio. Maybe you like to do sports, maybe whatever it is. But there's going to be points or moments within your cycle that you're going to be able to go harder and make, if you really are trying to reach some fitness goals, that's when you're going to
Mm-hmm.
probably start achieving them. And then there's going to be another part of that cycle or the month where there's more balance, where you're pulling
Yep.
back. Maybe the weight's dropping significantly or the weight's gone. And you're
Maybe
doing,
it's
like
just
you
body
said,
weight.
right, you're doing maybe body weight work. Maybe you're doing more mobility work, more
Mm-hmm.
stretching, more, all those types of things. And
Yep.
actually, it creates some more balance to the body. So
Yep.
this approach, when you look at it that way, makes complete sense. That is actually how we should
Mm-hmm.
be approaching our fitness anyway, at any
Yep.
age. Balance is key.
I will
So,
say for myself, I notice like most of the time my workouts are pretty short, pretty high intensity,
mhm.
whether I'm lifting and it's cardio, what isn't it amazing how when you do like alternating lunges, you're like, oh my God, I thought I was doing legs, but it's cardio based as well.
Right.
So because I keep my workouts short, when I'm in that luteal phase, I can do 2 or 3 of those workouts in a week. And that's it. The rest of it is
You're
I'm
good.
doing mobility, I'm
Right.
stretching, and I'm talking like 15, 20 minutes during that time. That's enough
Right.
because that's all my body needs at that point. And and then it's like, every other day, every 2 to 3 days. And the
Right.
other days
Right.
I'm walking, I'm stretching, foam rolling, yoga, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's in the last year, I'm like, oh my God, this is like, wow, what an amazing difference when I honor my body. Like,
Isn't it amazing what happens when we do that?
crazy. The heck is that
So
about?
the other thing that's in here that we did talk about it briefly last time, but I love the name of the section, the Contraceptive Conundrum.
Yeah. What page are we on? Where are you at?
That's on page 25 is where that
Okay.
starts.
Yeah.
I don't think we should go too deep down the pill contraceptive.
There's a lot to deal with that. And
I think everyone has a personal opinion. I
mhm.
think I personally have a love-hate with it.
So yeah, I will say that when I was on it, I didn't have any idea what was.
Oh.
So I think part of the problem is that my doctor never said, well, just so you know, this is what's going to happen. Like your body's really not producing hormones and that can affect you in all these other ways.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, I just want to be on the pill because I'm not ready to be pregnant.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's all I cared
And that's
about.
all you
But
think
no,
about, especially when you
right.
first go on it, which is usually, let's be honest, you're in your late teens, maybe early
Early
20s,
20s. Yep.
and you go on it. Most women think, I'm going to go on the pill, yeah, so I don't get pregnant.
Right. And that's it. And there's no discussion about how it really affects your hormones,
Right.
right? You just like, it's just going to make it so that you're not going to get pregnant, most likely, right? I mean, yes, I know
Right.
we hear those weird, like everyone in a million stories, but there was no discussion about it. So my personal opinion, as I deal with clients who are on the pill because they have heavy periods, painful periods,
Right.
crazy mood swings where they're unable to get out of bed, where they just, maybe they have really bad acne. My problem with the pill is that it's used as like every other pill most of the time in our culture is we're going to deal with a symptom, right? And that's really my main problem with the pill.
The Band-Aid.
The Band-Aid. Find why are you having these heavy painful periods? Why are you having this terrible acne? Why are your moods? Why can't you get out of bed and you're having these crying fits for a week? Like, that's not normal. And let's figure out the reason for that. So that's my main problem. I understand some people are going to need to be on it for certain reasons. Some people are going to want to be on it for pregnancy prevention. They're going to need to be on it because it's going to help balance them out until they figure things out, whatever it is. But if you're just using it as a Band-Aid, that's where I think the main issue is.
Right. I agree. And and I was on it initially, 20s or early 30s for just not to get pregnant. And then I made a conscious choice to get off it because I'm just like, I didn't feel right. I'm just like, and then I had to come back and use it when I started having irregular periods. This is when leading up to when I had my partial hysterectomy, and they said, oh, well, then let's try to correct it.
Right.
With putting you back on the pill, and
with synthetics.
And again, no discussion about what's happening to your body.
Yeah.
Or let's look at, so I mean, yes, did it achieve what its goal was for a period of time? Yes, but I do question, and I wish looking back, of course, hindsight, So, but I think it's a question of, I think there needs to be more education about it so people understand what's happening to their bodies and what's, that it's not just for.
Right.
And this is what happens to the body.
Yep.
So,
agree. That's,
are we good? Are we good with part one? Can we put a bow in part one and say, thanks, it's been great, and move on?
Moving on.
All right, part two. Part two is called Your Female Fitness Foundation. So there's a lot of good stuff here.
There is good stuff in here.
Like literally, we could do a whole series just probably on a lot of stuff in here.
Yeah, individual stuff on it.
Right.
But let's not do that.
However, I think well, there's some things in here. So there, when we talk about the chapter, what chapter is this? Chapter 5 called Making Weight.
Yep.
I really think it's important to comment, because I do reference this a lot of times with some of my clients, is I don't know if people realize that there's different categories of body size or body shape. Shape, yeah. Right? We have the ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Right? So I'm going to go through them real quick because I think it's important. I think people will, because I think we really have to educate, particularly women, that it is beautiful. Your body is beautiful as it is made, and that we are all unique. Each of it is our shape. It is our genetic makeup.
There's going to be certain people who will be.
If you're an endomorph, stop trying to make yourself an ectomorph.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna work, honey.
Tell them what they mean.
Tell them what they want, LeAnn. So, all right.
Congratulations, you're an ectomorph. You are going to be tiny, really, is what I always think.
So an ectomorph is, they tend to be like long-limbed, not particularly, muscular. They're thin. They're considered kind of skinny. Think kind of like ballerina.
Yeah. So, okay. When I was 100 years ago, I always thought of ectomorph. Do you remember in Ghostbusters they had ectoplasm?
Yes.
And I used to think of that green guy because he was green and he was like a blob but had really skinny arms. That's how I used to remember ectomorph.
So he was an ectomorph arms with an endomorph
body. But that's how I used to remember ecto. I was like, oh, ectoplasm, the skinny arms.
Yeah, that didn't age you at all.
I know.
So on the flip side, let's talk about endomorph.
Let's talk about his endomorph body.
Right. Endomorphs tend to be more rounder, softer. They kind of store fat more easily. Yeah. It's just your natural shape, Hi, my name is LeAnn. I'm an endomorph.
Hi, LeAnn.
And then in the middle is your mesomorph. So these are the people that just have that natural athletic build, that athletic body. They can put on muscle like that. And so they're just more proportionally built.
They're just muscle.
Yes. So I think it's important. And the only reason why I wanted to bring that up is I really think it's very important for women, for there to be more of a message.
Understanding
and embracing your body as it is, I mean, I think I'm not going to go into my whole diet culture spiel. I'm just not going to go down there because
that's a whole nother episode.
We could be here forever. But I think it's just really important, especially when we're talking about our cycles and we're talking about perimenopause. Our body's literally going through change. It is shifting.
Yeah.
My body now is not the body that it was when I was in my early mid-20s.
Mine isn't what it was 5 years ago.
Right. A year ago,
Yeah.
And so, but that's not bad. But I think we associate it. I had a client just very recently. I believe she's like 45. And I started working with her in January, and she just was like, and she's, a tiny woman to begin with. And she is just so set on, I need to have, tiny this, tiny that, tiny this. I need this. Well, first of all, she doesn't have time. We really have a time management issue. She doesn't have time to do everything that she wants to do. And let's keep in mind, she's a teacher dealing with virtual class and all of this stuff, right? And she's got 2 kids of her own, busy life.
I was like, and she's got her own life.
Right. And I literally just a month ago had to have to come to Jesus with her and told her and said, you're 45. You are in the heart of perimenopause, honey. You need to let go of your 25-year-old body. It's gone. You're not going to get it back. And It's not because I'm saying you're lazy. It's not because I'm saying, it's just your body is evolving into the next phase of life. Embrace it.
It's not to say
your body is beautiful the way it is. Right.
It's not to say she can't be strong and build muscle, and it's just
like literally she's holding on. Like literally, she's holding on to her 25-year-old self jeans. Literally, her pair of jeans.
Okay, first off, they're out of style.
I know.
Unless you're a Gen Z. Really? Unless you're Gen Z, then you can rewear them.
I'm like, okay, aren't those jeans from like when Friends are on TV?
Were they like Jordache or
I didn't want to know at that point. They were probably like Guess jeans, which no one could wear. Right? Lord knows I couldn't get my endomorph butt into a pair of Guess jeans. So anyway, but what it ended up being was, I mean, I hit a nerve. I mean, she was like,
yeah,
oh my God.
But you know, I actually had a client the other day message me and say she's in her 50s, that she likes looking in the mirror now. And she's not the size she was when she was 25. But she's, you know, she's building muscle. She's like, I see it. I see the definition. And that's like, yeah.
Muscle is beautiful. Right. Right. We need it, you know, and so, you know, maybe we'll do a whole nother series on, you know, on body image and diet culture and all of that.
Oh my God.
For me, I think it's important. My personal takeaway from that chapter when I read it was, we need to embrace the body that we're given and the body that we're in. Yes, we can enhance it. We should be celebrating the body with lifting weights and with being able to see what the body can do, not punish it.
Well, and one of the titles is You're More Than a Number. And
yes.
if you're, and she talks about like the scale isn't your best judge. Like, because I had another client actually tell me yesterday, she's in her 50s, late 50s. And she said now that she's seeing her friends again after a year, 5 different people told her, you've lost weight. She's like, I haven't lost any weight, Jill. I said, no, but you're leaner now. Like you've been lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week. Your composition is different. So like a pound of muscle, a pound of fat, like more. And it's your weight it's just a number. I don't care. It's how much muscle do you, like how much muscle do you have? Because that's really what's important. And it ties in with what chapter or whatever ties in with chapter 9, right? Build your bones. The more muscle you have, the better it is as you're going into perimenopause and menopause, because we're so at such risk for osteopenia and osteoporosis, and nobody needs that. So important. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, and it's so important for women as we're aging, to make sure that we are including some form of strength training component.
Yeah. What chapter was it in where she talks about it's like, 2 to 3%. Is it bone loss? I'm like, I can't remember. She talked about bone loss and muscle.
Oh, I think it is in chapter 9. Yeah.
Yeah. So after menopause, the protective effects of estrogen loss and bone loss can accelerate 2 to 3% per year. But the more muscle you have, the better it is for your bones, and the sooner you act, the stronger you can make and maintain your skeleton. Ding, ding, as with your muscles, a little loss is inevitable with age, but your diet, exercise, and lifestyle can go a long way in helping you hang on to what you want. And start lifting, ladies.
And strength is relative. It doesn't mean you got to go out and start, you know what I mean? It's relative to your body.
Right. And somebody else recently said to me, we were talking about like lifting heavy. And she's like, I can't lift any more than 8 or 10 pounds. It hurts my joints. I'm like, well, then 8 or 10 pounds is heavy for you. Like that's your heavy. Like
that's your threshold.
That's your heavy. Just because my heavy is 20 doesn't mean.
Right. I mean, I think
she's also an ectomorph, by the way.
Pardon?
I said she's also an ectomorph. So like smaller.
Right. She's good. Yeah. She's smaller frame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Endomorphs can naturally lift heavier weight. It's just science, people.
It's just math. We're bigger. Math and science. Math and science.
Speaking of exercise,
It's STEM.
speaking of exercises, so we've talked a lot about how we want to approach
Yes.
and discuss the exercises offered in the book. I think there's some great exercises here, many of which I do with my own clients, and I'm sure you do with your clients.
Chapter 6 would be a good example of those.
Yes. I think there are some, but then there are other exercises in here.
Chapter 7.
That I can't even do.
Yeah.
Would I? Now, and this is where I think where if the average person, the non-elite athlete was picking the book up, they were flipping through and they saw the exercises, they'd be like, ooh, and,
that's not for me.
It's not for me, and set it down. And I don't want people to do that, because again, this is where the comment goes back to your exercise regimen should be relative to your body. So these exercises may not necessarily be for you, but that's where if you have a fitness professional you work with, they can help you modify them or scale them for your body, right?
Yep.
But
yeah, like
these exercises are great. There's many great exercises in here that I think are good. It's just these are probably for, I would say, the average person would be considered a little more advanced. That's all.
Yeah, some of that, like if you look at, if you want to ask us, but if you want specifics, there's some of them, yes, that the average person is not going to do. Like a tuck jump or a pistol squat. I hate tuck jumps.
Yeah.
I hate them. Like they kill my hip flexors. A pistol squat, we talked about.
There's just some pieces of equipment in here that most people just don't keep, like kettlebells and medicine balls around.
Well, to do a wall ball. Like there's other, but again, if you're working with a fitness professional, there's things that we can alternate.
Right.
And adjust,
right,
so that they can be good.
And I think here it is. I mean, at the end of chapter 7, going into chapter 8, I think here are the takeaways, because I don't want to dive too deep into the exercises that are in the book, just because I think, again, I feel, as we've talked about extensively here, exercise is relative to the body, but lift heavy, she says lift heavy weight. Don't be scared of bulk, right?
Yeah.
Scared of muscle loss.
Yep.
Especially as we age, ladies.
Oh, I used to say in my class, if you look at your bar and it doesn't scare you, it's not heavy enough.
Right. That's true though. That's true. And I like this one. You make greater strength gains during your low hormone phase. So if you're not feeling like pushing hard during PMS, that's okay. Save it for the following week.
Yep.
So listen to your
balance.
Right. So this is where, let's be honest. That's why we have different sets, different weights of dumbbells.
Right.
You may have your heavier set for that first part of your cycle, the lighter set for the latter part of your cycle. You might have, I don't expect everyone to have a home gym like you or I, where we have a lower equipment. Well,
the crazy amounts of stuff I just buy all the time.
Those are like toys to me. I mean, it's,
Did you see my rules? You must have, because that's exactly what I said. I was like, I've got new toys.
Right. But, I mean, they are. I mean,
fun, but I don't expect my clients to have that.
Yeah, I mean, but people think I'm crazy when I'm like, oh my God, my weight vest arrived. And they're like, meh.
I just bought 2 sandbags. They're like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do
I'm
that?
sure my neighbors are used to seeing me run up and down my hill with my sandbag behind me, like, you know.
They're like, what the heck is that? There's that crazy LeAnn again.
Right. And so
Loony.
I think it's relative to you. And
Yeah.
so what you may see in here, or, I think women have just been trained to fear muscle, because when women think muscle, they think of female bodybuilders.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the image that gets popped in their head. And
I'm going to get pumped up.
yeah, I mean, they think
Going to
they're going
pump
to
you
turn
up.
into a female version of
Arnold,
Arnold.
which is crazy. Arnold.
Arnold.
I'm going to pump
And
you up.
and again, that's not what we're talking about. Hey, if that's what you
Yeah.
want.
Right. But that's very targeted.
But that's a very
planned.
That's a very training specific.
Yes. Like you don't just get that way. Like
that's years.
Like you don't just
I think for you and I,
lifting.
we're talking about the average, basically our clients, the average client we work with. And, most of my clients, they probably, I think most of my clients probably don't lift more than 15 pounds. Dumbbells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say majority of mine.
I don't do any barbell work with any of my clients because I've got, one, and the one client that I see in person, she sees the barbell and she's like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm like, great, dumbbells. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, most of, my clients work out of their homes. They have dumbbells. Some of them have, they may have a kettlebell. Great. They may have a Bosu, but like I have a client who will say to me, should I buy that? And I'm like, why? What do you, we have whatever. And she'll lift heavy. She's got a set of 20-pound dumbbells and she'll lift those. That's the heaviest she goes. But I'm like, what? She's like, well, should I get should I get the sandbag? No. Why? Like we've got other stuff for you.
Right. The whole point is you keep it simple. I'm the same way with my clients. It's you.
Yep.
Set of dumbbells.
Some bands.
Good set of bands. I mean, a sturdy set of bands and maybe a kettlebell. And then we're good. Yeah. We're golden.
Yeah. I mean,
if you want to get crazy, get a jump rope.
Yeah. And you know what? You don't even need to do that. You could just go like,
no.
Look at this. I mean, yeah, it's just, I had a client a couple of weeks ago, Memorial Day weekend, was away in the Bahamas. And we had a session. He's like, I didn't bring any equipment. I'm like, no problem. We got your body weight. No problem. Like that chair, that countertop, that's where you're doing push-ups. Yeah. Let's go.
It was probably a great workout. Awesome.
It was. He was like, this was harder than last week. I'm like, you got no equipment. I got to make it.
You're like, you're welcome.
Yeah. I was like, I'll see you Tuesday.
And my work is done.
He's like, on Tuesday, can we do foam rolling when I'm back home? Anyway. So yeah, a lot of this stuff. People aren't gonna.
It is. Yeah. So part 2, there's 2 more chapters to it. Talks about gut health.
Yep.
And how that relates to, well, just gut health in general. And then also you referenced it already, the section called Build Your Bones. And we've discussed not going too greatly deep into these sections. We're going to talk about gut health a little bit more in episode 4.
Yes, we'll talk about that.
We're going to kind of loop that into there. Yeah. And I think the way we're going to talk about gut health is more nutrition. Now, let's be honest. I mean, as we all know, gut health, gut flora, your gut microbiome is very much mainstream. We're learning
now it is
more and more about it. and having a better understanding of how much our gut balance affects the rest of our body.
Yeah.
And particularly our hormones.
It's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic.
Hot topic.
And again, it's a rabbit hole we could go down.
Right. That could be its own.
But I think people probably don't want to sit here for 2 hours listening to us talk about gut health.
Microbiome and flora. And so we'll just loop a little bit in with the, when we talk nutrition in part.
I mean, hey, if people want us to talk about going to great depth about irritable bowel syndrome,
your bowel movements, whatever, you know.
I could make a very bad joke, but I won't. So
let's keep the potty humor to a minimum, okay?
But you've already touched upon the importance of building muscle also is strong for your bones. So ladies, trust me, I have so many clients, female clients that are in their 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. Do not wait.
No, get started now.
Until you're 80, 75.
It starts when you're hitting 30.
Yes. And just simply incorporate some strength training components to your fitness regimen.
Yes.
Because it's a slippery slope as the older you get.
Yeah. It's not a good thing.
No.
It's
of course, you know, she even talks about, I don't know if the current, I think this is an older generational concept, but they think, the best way for your bones is to drink a glass of milk. And she talks about that. And she says, it may not be helping you.
Absolutely. Well, that whole campaign, it does a body good.
Right. Well,
interestingly enough, now when you hear about everyone with, the dairy industry, and interestingly enough, how many of your clients have gut issues with dairy and, go eat a cup of spinach. You're better off with a cup of spinach.
Right. I mean, interesting enough, I have a whey intolerance. So
no whey protein for you, huh?
I hated milk.
Yeah.
So I haven't done dairy in years. Dairy and I broke up years and years ago.
I have a love-hate relationship. I love it and it hates me.
Yeah. Are you in a codependent relationship?
I think I am. I'm addicted to dairy. I'm not even dairy, just cheese. I'm addicted.
I think you're either. Are you?
I don't care.
Are you one of those people that if you were at a beautiful meal and it comes to the end of the meal and you had your option of the cheese platter or dessert, you would do the cheese platter?
Absolutely. I don't need dessert. Give me the appetizers.
Oh no, I would totally go for dessert.
No way.
Yeah.
My husband my husband used to say to people, he'd be like, yeah, my wife is the only person I know that when you ask her if what she wants for dessert, she'll say, do you have an orange pepper? I'm like, and throw some cheese on it. I'm like, I don't care about chocolate. I don't care about, dessert is not my thing. I'll take appetizer. I'll take a cocktail hour over a dessert tray.
Just give me one of those chocolate fountains.
Now see if it had cheese. If it was a cheese fountain, all over it. All right. So anyway,
so
my weakness.
Here's the thing: is this whole thing about lifting weights, your cycle, moving in from perimenopause to menopause and then postmenopause, think of it as the evolution of your body and how you should be supporting it. And you can, if for those of you that have the book, you can read in more depth on chapter 7 and chapter 8 and chapter 9.
Chapter 8 and chapter 9. Gut and bones.
But
guts and bones.
There's some great information in here that if it does not sway you to start lifting more and to start incorporating that, then I can't help you.
I don't know what will.
I don't know what's going to do. So,
I know it's true. Like there's a lot of data that.
Did you know? Oh, I just saw this. Did you all know that 80% of people with osteoporosis in the United States are women?
Yeah.
Come on, ladies.
And as you age and you break a bone, how that disables you for pretty much the rest of your life.
Right. And it creates, you are more amped to break more bones.
Right.
I mean, it becomes that domino effect.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but we're going to talk nutrition and all that other stuff and how that's going to impact us.
So episode 4, again, for those that have the book, we're diving into part 3. So episode 4 is part 3. Math hurts.
I don't know numbers.
But then we're going to really be talking about, I'm not going to get into it too much, but anyway.
Too much.
All right.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Give us your questions.
Let us know your thoughts. Let us know
where do you stand on all of this?
Right. Where do you stand on what we've been talking about? That your fitness regimen, the contraception, where your thoughts are.
Working with your cycle, what
your experience has been. Because everyone's had a unique, different experience. What has been your experience with working out within your particular body? What's been your evolution? What's been your experience from the 20s to the 30s to the 40s?
What's your body type? Are you an ecto, an endo, or a mesomorph? Tell us.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. Well, we won't see them. They'll see us.
They'll see us, but we won't see them. Yeah. All right.
We'll see if they comment.
Well, we can see if they comment, yeah. I mean, if you send us a picture, then we'll see you. Right?
Send us a picture of you with your book. Tag us and Dr. Stacy and Women Are Not Small Men.
Right. I don't know. Maybe you'll get something. Maybe Jill will send you something.
I will send you my love.
and that's free.
I will send it to all of you. That's okay. We're good.
Right.
All right.
All right, my dear. It's been good seeing you.
Yes, we will see. I'll see you
in episode 4, talking about part 3. All right.
Okay.
We're out.
Later, guys.